Man, how many times do you gotta bring up Kino's journey? That's the third cliche thing. Mark Robin Weebs, my name is Cole, his name is Mike, his name is Jay. We like anime, and this is episode 124 of AniPro. And on this week's episode, we are reviewing the anime henceforth known as Girls Last Tour. We're also just gonna kind of chat a little bit. It's been a while since I caught up with you boys, so I wanted to just maybe see what's new. What's new in the land of Jay and Mike? How are you boys?
God. I don't know. I didn't come prepared to this.
No.
Obviously not. Yeah.
Oh, I started X-Men 97.
Oh, X-Men 97.
Yeah. You're posting about that in the Discord.
I can talk about that a little bit. I didn't watch a lot of the original X-Men 97, like back in the day.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I did.
Because like I was mostly just a big Spider-Man guy, not a big Marvel guy.
Yeah.
So like I'd watch the 90s Spider-Man, but not that. But I went to X-Men 97, and like it is really good.
Who's best girl?
Rogue.
Is that like when you say X-Men 97, it's X-Men 97 2024, like it's coming out right now, right?
Yeah, it's just called X-Men 97.
Okay, that's what
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But like I think the way it follows up from the original show is done in a really interesting way. And I before I watched it, I heard a lot of people saying like the fact that they made X-Men all about the Wolverine made X-Men worse. And after seeing this, I can kind of see why.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that take, actually.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like Wolverine, he's kind of like cool on the surface, but like once you kind of, there's not too much depth to him, really. Like he's not really that interesting once you get past.
There is a lot of intrigue to him. It's just like there's a lot of other guys there that also are really cool.
Like X-Men is a ensemble, so I want to know more about everybody, not just Wolverine. Undoubtedly, like one of the coolest mutants.
Yeah, he's cool.
Like, I want to know about Jubilee. I don't know.
Jubilee's cool. Gambit's awesome.
Nightcrawler.
Nightcrawler's cool.
That's an X-Men, right?
Yeah. You're good. You're good.
Okay,
you're on target.
There was a lot of stuff that like was introduced into the show that I was like, oh, they're introducing this. This is really cool.
That it was weird the way they brought like so much politics into it, right?
I think that's normal for X-Men.
Yeah,
is it?
Yeah.
Oh, is it actually? I have no idea. I didn't watch it. What did they introduce that's new, Jake?
I don't want to spoil it, but like in episode 1, so at the end of X-Men the original, Professor Xavier dies. Like he's dead. And so like it kind of picks off as kind of like a what now kind of thing. Like who's
when you
sorry, could you repeat that spoiler again?
Yeah, could you say that spoiler again? And when you say the original,
I'm serious. Can you please?
This is a show from the late 90s, so you know it's over 20 years old at this point.
No, you described a character as dying. Can you repeat that, please?
No, you heard it.
Okay.
You don't want.
I will say it. Professor Xavier dies.
Okay.
There, I set myself up for it. Yeah,
you should know better, Cole. Jay does not cooperate.
I know.
Yeah, but I was going to say is when you say, he is like a cat, kind of. When you say the original X-Men, which original X-Men are you talking about? The comics, the movies,
like the original X-Men
TV show?
The original X-Men 97 that this is following up on.
Because this is the thing. This is my issue with Marvel is like you can't just say X-Men because there's 17 different X-Men it could be referring to. You know,
in the comics, there's 17 different X-Men you could be referring to.
It's really weird because like after the original X-Men cartoon ended, like the original X-Men 97 cartoon ended, Marvel had that issue where they were like, well, we want people to go read the comics, but like everything's going to be all different over there. So what do we do? So they made follow-up comics based on that X-Men 97 cartoon from back in the day, to kind of like tie into the universe. And it ends with it looping back to the other comics that aren't associated with the cartoon.
Oh, good old Marvel multiverse at it again.
Yeah.
Eh?
That's incredible.
That's almost like a reverse version of like, you know how they make anime that are basically just like they'll have like an ending and then it's like, oh, if you want to know more, just go read the manga.
Yeah.
Kind of like Girls Last Tour.
Shh, be quiet. Shh. We'll talk about that later.
We'll talk about that later.
Well, I mean, it's one season. Obviously, there's more in the manga.
Yeah.
I was
anyway,
no, when Jay described that, it reminded me of like the ending of Futurama before it came back.
Okay, yeah,
like the end of
that too.
Futurama like loops in on itself. It's
kind of cool
Great
when they
show.
do stuff like that.
Yeah.
really good
Futurama,
show,
all-timer.
Futurama.
But-
Have you
I
ever
prefer
heard
it
of
to The Simpsons, actually.
I also prefer Futurama to the
Overall,
Simpsons.
probably. I
Yeah.
think Simpsons has higher peaks, but also much lower valleys.
Lower valleys,
Whereas
for sure,
Futurama
yeah.
is
And
just
I think-
like up here consistently.
I think
Yeah.
as much as I don't want to say like the fact that Futurama ended made it better, but like
It
Simpsons,
did, absolutely.
Simpsons,
yeah.
it has been going on for a bit too long. And
Mhm.
like I get that people love it and consider it like an American national treasure, I guess.
Well,
Like
it
a show.
is.
Do they?
I would
Still?
consider it.
Like these
Yeah.
new episodes, people are saying this is a national
No,
treasure.
no.
Well,
This
like I'd say
episode that I
like
just
The
watched.
Simpsons as a whole, not really like new
It's a cultural
episodes.
touchstone
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely, it is. But I think
wouldn't and I think in terms of like American entertainment, like you'd have to put The Simpsons on the Mount Rushmore
Yeah.
of American entertainment.
but you're not putting an
modern
episode from
Simpsons.
2022 on there. You know,
No,
like
I mean, as a
you're putting an
whole.
episode from
No.
1996 on there.
Right, but if you're thinking like that, then obviously they see like a profit in making more of it because people
Mhm.
see it as an iconic thing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's just.
I'm just in
unfortunate.
favor of just ending it before it gets tarnished, kind of. You know.
It's
We're not
It's tarnished.
like I don't think
Yeah.
it already has been tarnished, but I don't think
what
either
I
of us
mean.
are really arguing not ending it.
no.
Oh no, I agree.
I
Yeah.
am by far the biggest Simpsons fan out of the three of us here, and I'm
Mhm.
like, yeah, end it. I haven't watched a new episode of The Simpsons in probably a decade, and I don't think
Yeah.
I'm exaggerating.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's what I was pushing back on
Yeah.
when you guys were saying it's like it's an all timer, because right now it is not an all timer.
No,
the 90s Simpsons is.
I do think it's an all timer. I do think
Yeah.
it's an all timer. Just taking it for what it is,
Okay, like you mean the whole thing?
as a whole.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, I'm
Yeah.
breaking it into like parts.
No.
Eras,
of course,
if you
now
will.
it's not. No, but like the
Yeah.
movie was pretty good. Remember when the movie came out?
the movie was good.
Yeah, I kind of remember it. Yeah,
Yeah, but they brought in a lot of like
Three-Eyed
writers
Fish or whatever.
They brought in a lot of writers from old Simpsons.
Yeah.
So I think that's why it worked out well. But whatever. Yeah. No, I think we're all in agreement. Overall, Futurama, good. Overall, Simpsons, not so good. But it does
Not
have some
great,
good
but
episodes.
iconic. I'd
Yeah,
say.
I agree with what you're saying about like
Mhm.
the peaks of Simpsons probably being higher, and it definitely got a little weirder with it, probably like a little more introspective, for sure.
Yeah.
You get like
at
it
times.
did more creative things with the episodes than I think Futurama did. Futurama was like a little
Futurama.
more akin to like the Family Guys of the world.
Yeah. Yes and no. Remember the dog episode?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Futurama's good. Or like Fry's brother. That's a great episode. too.
when they go find
Mhm.
yeah, that was a good episode.
Yep.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah, no, I mean, all in all, I think those writers over there did a very good job of like
Yeah.
making comedy, but also like were able to produce stuff that like brought a tear to the human eye, not
Mhm.
mine eye, but other people's eyes.
the episode of Futurama I always think about, and like it's like an episode I use in quotation marks because it's more like a movie, but like Bender's Big
Mhm.
Score was really good.
I don't think I've seen
That-
Bender's Big Score.
I don't remember that one.
The
I think it was
like
a movie.
it's a whole movie where Bender can like time travel,
Okay.
and he's like controlled by these like alien scammers.
Mm.
So like they're just kind of
you remember when Bender was a god? Remember that episode?
Mhm.
Yeah.
The
I like
what
the
if
guy with the
machine.
Clamps too. Guy with
Clamps?
Clamps is good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Death
Do you
by
know what his
Snoo
name
Snoo.
was? Do you know what his name was?
Clamps. Clamps.
His name was Clamps.
Yeah, it's great. Just put it on the tin. That's what he is. He's Clamps.
Yeah. It's got clamps. Yeah. So what were we talking about? X-Men?
X-Men
Yeah,
97.
X-Men.
I'm
Yeah,
sure it's a
97.
good show.
It is a good show. I don't want to spoil it too much, like I said, because like there are a lot of interesting turns that it makes that like really adds to the drama of it all.
Mhm.
And I'm interested in where it goes. Like, because like I said, Professor Xavier is gone, and it's kind of like what do we do now? Like, who's going to lead the X-Men?
Mhm.
Oh,
What do you
is it a sequel to the
Yeah.
original?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that part. I thought it was like a reboot.
No, it's
No,
like
it picks up right where the original cartoon ended
Oh,
off.
That's
Yep.
kind of cool.
Yeah, it is kind of
Mhm,
cool.
mhm.
Mike, what's cool in your world?
In my world, well,
Yeah, the world of Mike.
what's going on in my world? I've been basically kind of juggling several things lately all at once. One of those
Mhm.
being planning for our bonus episode, because we've decided to break them up into our patron bonus episodes. Subscribe to our patron if
Yeah,
you
subscribe to our
feel so
Patreon right
inclined.
If you can.
We're doing 2 Truths and a Lie, so I've been like reaching out to patrons and a couple other surprise guests to like get some 2 Truths and a
Ooh.
Lie from them. So I'm excited to see your guys' reactions. I'm still like pulling some strings on that to see what I want to
Okay.
do. But
Okay.
I think it's going to be fun. I'm excited. And it's going to be the return of the drinking episode, which is
Yes. Well,
interesting
when
idea as well.
when your name is AniPro Cole, every episode is a drinking episode.
That is true. Hey, Cole, cheers. I'll cheers my wine to you. Yes. What else is new?
I suppose I'll drink in the second half.
There we go. You don't have to drink. No pressure to drink.
No, of
Um,
course not. Of course not.
But for the most part, I've kind of just been like juggling that. It's like the last month of the semester for my college courses that I'm doing. I'm doing. I'm taking a computer science little diploma thing, and today was actually the last day for one of my classes. And it's like I'm going to describe this class to you guys, and it's like my nightmare class. And I'm
Okay.
thinking it might
I'm
be your
excited.
guys' nightmare class as well.
Okay.
Okay. So I'm doing like a distance ed degree.
You walk in.
Nope,
The professor,
I-
he's got clamps.
I sit right here. I sit.
It's online. Okay.
It's online, Cole.
Okay.
So you sit down at your computer, you turn on the screen, and all you see is clamps.
out.
The professor, he's got clamps. No.
I want those
okay, so
clamps.
This course it's called communication something or other.
Okay.
First of all, I'm doing a computer science thing.
Yeah, I mean, what is
Computer science, you don't need to
Nerd.
communicate that.
Nerd.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's probably good that they're teaching us nerds how to communicate, but like
probably?
we're all
Look,
awkward. It's gonna be
they
awkward.
want you to get out of your mother's basement and actually do something.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't want to is the problem.
Yeah, no, it's cozy down here.
So this course, here's another reason it's hell for me. It is graded based on your participation in the online course.
Oh, boo.
So during the Teams call, you're graded based on how much you participate.
Mm-hmm.
So you can imagine how many useless comments people have where they're just like, oh, I'm going to talk just so I get the participation
Yeah.
marks.
I am
You know?
present. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I have to do that as well, which is
I
something
think
I
that,
hate useless stuff.
I think
Yeah,
that
it's useless.
really applies to society in a very meaningful way.
Yeah, how
It
so,
actually
Jay?
does. Jay, you're actually bang on. And I'd like you to explain why.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't prepare it to go that
See,
far.
I'm utilizing the yes and strategy
Yeah,
right
I
now.
just I just wanted to make a
Improv
very
101.
pointless
Yeah.
comment just to be able to
Mhm.
say I said something.
Okay, good,
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
Well, you
Very
actually had
good.
a good point because, like in corporate society, honestly, it's just if you just put your nose down and do your work, you will not get promotions. You will just basically get used to do the work, and they'll give the
Yeah.
guy who's buddies with the boss the promotion. But anyway, we have to participate, which is annoying, and all of the assignments and stuff are all graded based on either met or unmet.
Mm.
Okay.
So it's like
So it's either yes or no.
it's either check, pass, or fail, right?
Yeah.
So then you still
Binary,
but
like
of
a
course,
computer.
you still get like the keeners in there who are like, oh no, we have to do A+ level work here. And I'm
Mhm.
like, you don't see. You just have to do the work.
C's
as
get
long as you do
degrees.
Yeah, C's literally are the same as an A in this case.
Yeah.
You know, like why are we spending so much time here? But anyway, that's another thing that drives me nuts.
Mhm.
What's the other part that drives me crazy about this?
Use this platform. Use this platform as a coping healing.
A
healing.
coping mechanism. Yeah.
I've gathered you here today to talk
yeah.
about it.
This is your therapy session.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't need to know I have a goddamn podcast. I don't need to learn to communicate in a class with a bunch of nerds.
Yeah.
I am the nerd. I know how to communicate.
You should submit episode 124 of AniPro to your professor to say, look at how well I communicate. Look at these idiots I have to put up with and talk to. On a weekly basis.
One of these guys has great hair. The other's got a dimple on his hat. And I communicate with them every week.
I'm not even wearing a hat. What is
exactly
he talking about? Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just silly. And then actually during that class, it was kind of funny because I was doing one of this is the other part that I hate.
Okay, here we go.
Everything is also a team. Like every project is a team group project.
Can't work alone.
Horrible. So like in every way, this course is like my nightmare. Cause like when I was in university, I literally like would just learn from the textbook. I honestly barely went to class. I would just like teach myself the stuff. And like, I basically just did it all myself. And that's the way I learn best. And I just don't like being in groups and stuff.
I don't like being in groups. It's too much
meeting
pressure.
People. Never.
I like people, but I don't like relying on people to do school
or having people rely on me.
Yeah.
Kind of.
I don't mind that part as much. But yeah.
I don't know. It's like you're not in control. You're only in control of what you can do.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah. It's like
it's kind of like that that line of like if you don't like the way things are done for you, then do it yourself.
Which is like something I totally like believe in, honestly. Like I just often will just go do it, you know?
Yeah. But if Mike's submitting a resume, then of course you're a team player, of course.
Team player. I work great in teams.
You work great with everyone. You're super communicative.
I'm an innovative thinker, and I'm all the above.
All the good stuff that gets you a job.
Yeah. But I think that's really enough complaining about my school life, and I'd like to hear what's going on in Cole's life.
What's going on in Cole's life? Well, wouldn't you like to know?
Yeah, I would. I just asked you.
Okay. Well, I mean, I think the last episode that we did, I was talking about Elden Ring, right?
Yeah, you're talking about your Elden Ring.
Are you still playing it?
No, not really.
Yeah, that checks out.
No.
What did we say, Jay, when we picked up Elden Ring?
I think he said a week, or we said a week.
I think we gave him like 2 or 3 weeks until like he got to a boss he couldn't beat. So
no. It's not even the boss thing. Like I've gotten through bosses. It's not a problem. I'm very good at the game. I'm a gamer god. But the problem is I'm a beater. The problem is that I don't know. I just kind of fell out of it. I don't know. Does anybody, like the listeners out there, like if you know what I mean? I know.
It was a burnout
to me all the time.
Where you just like,
I think it's burnout. Like in a week and a half, 2 weeks that I played the game, I put in like 35 hours into Elden Ring. So that's a lot of time. I beat 3 bosses.
That's a work week you put into your game.
Yeah, and I think it was just like, I'm kind of just over it.
Kind of done.
I feel like Elden Ring's probably a good game to be able to jump back in, which is kind of counterintuitive considering it's so difficult, but not punishingly difficult. Like part of the game is learning the game and the mechanics of the game. So if I stop playing for a few months and then jump back in, I feel like it's an ideal game for that. So I don't feel as bad as like when I quit or stop playing a different From Software game, Armored Core. Like I'm nervous to jump back in that one because it is like there's a steep learning curve.
And like the thing about most of those like Soulsborne games is like they are difficult, but like they're all fair. Like there's nothing like unfair about it.
And like Elden Ring, the bosses are difficult, but I feel like it's when people say Elden Ring is like the best, the most entry level friendly Souls game, not in the sense that its fights are difficult. It's because they are. It's the game is set up to be more user and beginner friendly. Like you get your spirit summons. Jay, you've played the game, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So this is me pitching it to Mike. Mike, play the game. You get your spirit summons, so like you kind of get AI help if you choose to, or you can choose not to. It's up to you. The big thing though is like if you die to a boss, you don't have to do the whole boss run again. You don't have to start at the beginning of the level and go. You have usually a restart spot like right outside the boss arena, so like you can just keep going,
and at
and
the
you're
same
not
time,
locked in. You can go back and
at the same time, like if you die, if you're stuck on a boss, like you can stop, go do something else.
Yeah.
There's tons of other stuff to do, and then
Yeah, you
come
can go
back
out
when
and
you're a
level
higher
up.
level or have other skills or whatever.
Yeah.
As an old man gamer, I really appreciate when games value my time and don't make me rerun through the entire dungeon pointlessly just to reface the same boss. So I'm appreciative of them for doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
No,
die to it. Like they know it's hard and they made it easier for you, even though they
like
still kept it hard.
Jay knows I'm a big rage gamer. Like
we both do.
Oh, I remember, Cole, some of your controllers in the past.
Yeah, but like this game,
Yeah.
this game is frustrating, but not like, you know,
It's
you're able to
frustrating,
take
but
a
it's also
step away
rewarding.
and try again. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Good game. It's a good
I
game.
agree with Jay. I think a challenge is rewarding when you finally overcome it, right?
For sure.
Oh,
yeah.
definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah. Also, something that's finally happened to me. I ordered a manga in June of last year.
Oh, I think I see it.
I see it behind you. Yeah. I was wondering when it was going to come up.
I ordered a manga in June of last year, and it finally, after I think 3 or 4 delays, volume 2 of March Comes in Like a Lion's finally out. And I have it proudly on display for this.
Have you read it?
Did you weep? Did you weep when you opened it?
No.
To both of them? Haven't read it, haven't weeped?
I haven't read the first one. You need to understand something about these. These are strictly collectibles. I've already
there's nothing
read the
inside
manga.
to read.
No, they're empty pages.
It's just the jacket.
Yeah.
I'll never know what's inside. No, I just haven't opened them. I don't.
You got to keep that spine fresh, right? You
got to keep the spine fresh. You should see my copy of Dune. It's all ruined because I read it.
Oh, terrible.
Let me let you in on a little secret, ladies and gentlemen, listeners to this podcast. You come here to listen to Cole's wisdom. I know.
Okay.
And now here it is. Don't read your books. Just don't. Put them on a shelf like me and never look at them again.
And then I'll chime in with, do read your books. Trash the shit out of them. Oh, not supposed to say that word. Oops. But like, this is like
Trash?
the Funko Pop argument that you're not supposed to like take them out of the box. You're not supposed to play with the toys. Books are meant to be read.
No,
toys
I'm
are meant to
kidding,
be played
obviously.
with.
Yeah. I'm joking, obviously.
Yeah. I know
read your
you're
books.
joking. Yeah.
Read your books.
You just don't want to read them.
I read these ones, Knights of Sidonia. So
I still need to borrow that one from you. I really want to.
They're pretty good. They're big. Yeah. Big books, big huge books.
Can I chime back in with a game I have actually started playing recently?
Yeah,
your game actually reminded me about it. I finally earlier in this podcast, not this episode, but earlier in a couple of weeks ago, I said I was finally going to play Chrono Trigger once because it was famously the character designs are done by Akira Toriyama, rest in peace. And I've done it. I'm about halfway through the game right now, and nice. I get it, man. That's a good game.
It is a good game.
Yep. It's the end of my review. It's a good game.
I really like how you said you're halfway through.
About maybe just under.
So I don't know if I want whatever. So you know how in Breath of the Wild you can go and fight Ganon at any time?
Yes. So I can already fight the final boss if I choose to.
Okay.
So essentially how I play JRPGs is I'll have like a spoiler-free guide available to me. Just so I don't miss stuff that's cool, because I'm only going to play it once. I don't have time to play it more than once. Yeah. So, and I can already fight the final boss, like, and I'm not even halfway through the game.
So
which
depending,
is cool.
And depending on when you fight the final boss, the ending is different. Yeah.
You can get like different endings to it, which is, this game came out, what is it, like 92 or 93? I don't even know.
Something like that.
And like, I get it. Like, I get why it's so acclaimed. And it just, I think me and Cole have said, I don't know about Jay so much, but like I love that like 16-bit sprite. I think 16-bit is like such an iconic and like gorgeous era of gaming.
Yeah.
And like this game gets that as well too. It's like clearly it could come out today and like you wouldn't be stunned. You'd be like, oh cool, this is just like a cool like retro looking game.
I think like both Chrono Trigger and Final Fantasy VI are both like the pinnacle of that of that 16-bit JRPG era. Both fantastic games with great stories. And
all right, I looked it up. It up.
Mm-hmm.
The Chrono Trigger came out in 1995.
Good year.
Yeah, it checks out.
Okay, yeah.
Good year.
Good year. Yeah.
Like 1 year
Excellent
before
vintage.
Super Mario 64.
Nice.
Yeah,
Also,
towards the end of the Super Nintendo then.
2 years
Yeah,
after
wow.
me. Yeah.
There you go. 4 years after me. It was in March 11th, 1995 was its release.
Interesting.
Yeah. It's old,
but
old
I
game.
get why it's an all-timer. I was actually thinking, like, as I was playing it though, Jay, and how would you feel if they did like Final Fantasy VII style remake of this game?
So I've heard rumors of that happening in like the
I feel
2D HD style. So like Octopath Traveler style.
okay. I'm on board with that.
Yeah.
I'll say that. I don't think I'm on board with a 3D-ification of this game.
No,
Yeah.
I
Lose
think
some
it
charm
works.
of it.
I think it works for like Final Fantasy VII because, frankly,
It was already
Final
3D,
Fantasy
right?
VII was 3D and it was in that ugly phase of 3D.
I think
look
like
at the art
also
style of the original
like
Final Fantasy.
what we got with Final Fantasy VII Remake was like the intention of Final Fantasy. We just didn't have the technology.
Right,
I agree with what Cole was getting at there, though, that like at the time, like in hindsight now, when you look at like a Super Nintendo game and an N64 game, I cannot play like N64 games nowadays because they're just like that terrible era of like 3D.
Right. Yeah. Where like Super Nintendo was like the pinnacle of, well, I mean, it was 16-bit and it was the pinnacle of that like art.
Yeah.
Right. And then when they moved on to 3D, it was like, we're kind of resetting the mold. Right. So
Yeah. At the
you're
time, it
starting
was like,
with-
this is groundbreaking, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But now we're kind of at the end of that like 3D gaming, and now we're moving into I don't know, simulation gaming. I think is the next big wave. If you ask
Farm
me.
Sim's coming back.
I think like VR is kind of the next leap.
Probably, yeah.
I think
that's
VR
what
is
I
the
would
next
say.
frontier. Yeah.
Yeah.
But the only thing is with VR is like it's dangerously close to motion controls in the way that like I don't know if it'll ever become this. Yeah, it's almost gimmicky and it's almost kind of set up a little bit for failure. Like I don't think it'll ever be the default for gaming.
See, you say that, but I feel like that was said a lot when 3D gaming was first introduced.
Maybe.
Yeah, but 3D gaming, you don't get like the issues of like motion sickness and stuff.
Yeah. You know what I say to that though? Just get good. Just get good at not getting motion sickness. That's what I think.
I want one of those like honestly, I saw a person on TikTok who is using Skyrim VR as like their weight loss journey, where they're just like they're playing Skyrim and they're just like walking everywhere. They're not using any fast travel or horses or anything.
Okay.
And it's like that's
and
a
they're
cool
on, like,
that's a cool idea
kind of thing.
They're on like the zero. I don't know what they call it. It's a super expensive rig.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, that like bowl shaped thing.
Yeah, which like I want that, but again, it's prohibitive because like who has space for that? You know, like
right.
Yeah,
you know, like only a certain person's going to be able to afford the bowl of
you
VR.
already need a bit like a big house before you can even think about affording the rig.
Yeah.
You know what I would use that bowl for?
Salad,
ramen noodles.
Beyblade.
Oh yeah, Beyblade's awesome, man.
Mm-hmm. Never forget canonically that Moses parted the Red Sea with a Beyblade.
It's true.
Never forget.
Which generation of Beyblade is your favorite?
There's generations.
There's generations of Beyblade.
There's the classic Beyblade. There's the Metal Fusion Beyblade, and then there's Burst.
Oh, the first one. Yeah,
the one with Dragoon
and Tyson, Max.
My favorite one was the one where I would go to my small town dollar store and buy a Beyblade. That was about the size of a hockey puck.
For sure, an illegal duplication. Yeah,
yeah.
Was it like the Chinese bootleg Beyblade?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And they were they were the size of like a cinnamon bun, like the size of your fist.
They were big back in the day. Yeah, I remember that.
David versus Goliath. When somebody would come in with like a genuine Beyblade, I would just laugh at them.
Have you seen some of like the new Beyblade technologies they have though?
They're small.
It's cool. It's like intense. Like
Let's get
there's
into
like
Beyblades.
oh, yes, let's go do it. Let's go meet up and buy some Beyblades after this.
Yeah, let's get some Beyblades.
But like there's like strategies to it. Like there's ones that are like built to like endure the other ones. There's defensive ones. There's attackers. There's rings that have like channels that your Beyblades like fly at the other ones. There's some that spin right. There's some that spin left. It's like
I think it's
strategy to
always
it
been
now.
like that. It's just like kind of bit.
We just didn't know. We were like, Beyblade
Yeah.
go burr.
I think
It's like when I used to play Pokemon cards by just like, this one has bigger HP than yours. Yours dies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Yu-Gi-Oh cards where you would just like the
Make up
anime.
the rules.
slam
dimension
down
the dice.
Obelisk the Tormentor and go like, attack now.
Brrr. Obelisk go brrr.
Go. I use fusion on Obelisk and Ra, the sun god, to create
Obelara.
Oblara.
Obelisk the winged dragon.
There you go. Which one's the best
no-
of the three gods?
I like Slifer.
I was always a
Slifer
Slifer the Sky Dragon too.
I like Raw.
Yeah,
You would like Raw.
Ra's cool. Yeah,
I think
Obelisk is the lamest one, to be
Obelisk
honest.
is
Yeah.
for sure the lamest
Obelisk
one.
is the
Okay, we can
lamest
all
one.
unite on
Find
that.
the
I gotta
reason
find my cards.
I think the love of Slifer though is the same reason why people always say like they're in Gryffindor, and it's like it's the main character's god card.
Yeah,
Is it?
yeah.
Yeah,
Is it
that
I
was,
like
actually?
Slifer because he was
Yugi's-
red.
That was Yugi's.
I liked it because it was a dragon. I like dragons.
Yeah, red was
So
my
is
favorite
Ra.
color.
I like dragons.
Ra's
I
also a
like-
dragon. He's the
I like
winged dragon of
dragons.
Ra.
It's true. He's
Oh
not.
yeah, he literally. Yeah, that's true. And then Obelisk is just the tormentor.
Yeah, he's
Yeah,
just,
he's
the,
just the
tormentor.
tormentor.
He's just a
Lame.
titan.
Yeah, yeah. He's
He's creepy looking too. He's also Kaiba's card, and I don't know.
yeah,
You know,
yeah.
It's weird.
Not
Like, they say that that's Kaiba's card, but like, it's not Kaiba's card. Kaiba's
It's
card is
not?
the Blue Eyes White Dragon.
to be
Yeah.
honest, I fell off pretty hard after they eliminated my boy Maximilian Pegasus.
It literally is Kaiba's card, but like, it's the Blue Eyes White.
Well, I
Dragon.
mean,
oh
by-
no, for sure.
That's-
Yeah,
that's Kaiba's card.
by that, like Yugi's card is the Dark
Yeah,
Magician.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. But I don't know. They got their god cards, I guess. But I'm
The
feeling
god
a
cards
little
aren't
like,
even good in real life.
no, they're not.
They're
No.
not. No.
Yu-Gi-Oh's not good in real life. Also,
Well, I resent that comment. I'm feeling a little warm. Do you guys want to take a dip?
I think Cole's really wanting to transition to the mailbag.
Oh, I mean, if you guys are ready, like, I don't know.
Hang on, let me gear up. Let me go
Oh,
gear 5.
jeez.
Okay,
Okay.
get me in there, buddy.
Okay. All right. Here we go. Here it is. The button that I press.
Okay, waiting for it.
Okay.
It's any time now.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Come on, dog.
Okay.
It's right here.
All right. Okay. 3,
Don't-
2,
Okay.
1. Okay. No, hold on. 1 sec.
Oh, I
Here
thought
we
we were
go.
just gonna do the thing where we pretend like it happened.
No,
there.
no. I'm
Oh.
sure it works. I'm sure it works. Here, let
Oh,
me
you
try
haven't
one more
clicked it
time.
yet. It's time for the mailbag.
It's mailbag time. If you've got a mailbag question, you can send it to us over the interwebs on our website, www.com.
Yep. Just the internet. Go to the internet
just go to just go onto Internet Explorer or
and type in your
Navigator
question. We'll get it.
and just type in your question and we'll get it. And just say to AniPro.
AniProPod.com.
Yeah.
AniProPod.com/mailbag or on our Discord. We've got a channel there specifically for mailbags. This one comes from our Discord and it is a patron priority mailbag. Wee woo. It comes from Mog.
Mhm.
Do you rewatch shows? Is there a show that was better / more enjoyable as a rewatch than it was the first time? Do you guys rewatch shows, or am I the only one who does this to themselves?
So if I were to rank us in terms of rewatch ability of shows,
Mm-hmm.
Cole is the number one rewatcher.
Yeah.
I think me and Jay are a lot closer, but I would
Mhm.
say Jay is probably more likely to rewatch something than I am. So
Mhm.
maybe you're in the middle, but I think we're pretty close, Jay. I don't generally rewatch stuff very often.
It really depends on the show for me. Like, if it's a show like, I don't know, like what if it's a show that has like the spoilers and the reveals are kind of the thing that makes it so much fun, then like I don't really see the point in rewatching it because I already know everything that's going to happen.
Yeah, I agree.
But like if it's just like a show that I can like shut my brain off and enjoy,
slice of life stuff is more rewatchable, I would say.
Yeah, or like something like Yu-Gi-Oh, like we were talking about before the
nostalgia factor
before
there,
the thing. Where it's just like you don't really need to like pay too much attention. You kind of just sit there and enjoy it. You're just having a good time.
I'm kind of the opposite, to be honest. I find shows more rewatchable if there's a lot to dissect that maybe you didn't get everything out of the first time. For example, I would think that the show that we're going to review in the second half would be a very good rewatch show because there's so many themes in it that you can
there's more to digest the second time.
But like I would also say that this show, the Girls Last Tour, probably isn't exactly a very plot heavy show, which is kind of
I don't want to delve into it. But
like, I think we could talk about that.
A better example would be like a show like Attack on Titan, where like the plot twists and like the gotcha moments are kind of a big part of it. But at the same time, Attack on Titan does it cleverly, where they do so much foreshadowing that you don't notice on the first watch.
Yeah,
so like a show like that, I'll rewatch.
That helps.
See, I wouldn't rewatch that. I mean, I wouldn't watch it in the first place, but
I mean, yeah, you're also
But going off of what Jay said, like there's a lot of plot twists and stuff in Attack on Titan that you wouldn't get the second time. But what Mike said is there's a lot of foreshadowing that you would only get the second time you watch. Something like Neon Genesis Evangelion makes a good second rewatch again because like you're able to dissect some of the themes in it. A second rewatch.
Yeah, I'm really due for a rewatch of NGE.
I just feel like for me when I'm like I want to sit down and rewatch something. I like the thing that'll get me to rewatch it is more just like my personal enjoyment of it rather than like how good it is critically or objectively.
Well, I mean, I think that's what it all comes down to. It's just maybe I take more personal enjoyment out of themes that make my head hurt.
I think you do. I honestly think so. Wriggle. Yeah, you like the big heady concepts a lot more. Whereas like the other reason I'll rewatch a show is one that I'm currently rewatching is Konosuba, and because it fulfills my main criteria for when I'll rewatch a show, and that's A, haven't watched it in a long time.
Yeah,
so I kind of forget it, and B, it's relevant right now because there's another season or something coming out. So I do like to rewatch prior to a new season coming out. I find it helps my enjoyment of watching the new season. So
yeah. And sorry, I don't mean to like toot my own horn and be like, I'm big brain, you guys dumb.
Oh no, I think that's like objectively true.
I think no, stop. My head can only get so big. I think I don't know. I just think I like those themes a lot. And maybe I'm weird for that.
I think at the same time, like for me, I always think like there's always the next thing. I don't want to look back. I want to look forward.
Yeah. I'm kind of that way too.
I get nervous about things that I haven't watched, to be honest.
See, that I don't get at all.
Yeah. I get nervous that like it might not meet my expectations of it.
That's exciting though.
I think
like, you get to have a unique opinion on something. That's cool.
And
that's
at the same time, if something doesn't meet your expectations, then you just hate watch it and you have fun doing that.
Yeah. Oh no. I'll watch it. This is something in the back of my mind. This is the tinge where I would say that's probably why I like rewatching stuff more than you guys do.
Because it's safer, right? Because you already know you like it, right?
Yeah. Of course I still watch new stuff.
Yeah. I find there's more enjoyment in watching something new and discovering something new than rewatching something I already know. And that's generally why I don't rewatch stuff.
I think I'm kind of in the same camp as you, Mike. Like, I mean, like there's just so much stuff out there that I haven't watched compared to what I have.
Yeah, exactly.
That, like, I want to consume more and see what else there's out there that I haven't seen.
We're like greedy little gobblers. We're greedy little gobblers gobbling up the new and different stuff, right?
Yeah.
And then you can say, then when I say, hey, Jay, have you seen Girls Last Tour? You can say, yeah, actually I have. Yeah. And I didn't like it at all.
I hated
whatever
it.
you think. Yeah.
Yeah, it was
We'll
really
find that
the
out
way the
after the
Skrulls were
break.
touring for the last
Yeah.
time.
Yeah. I mean, what do you mean? I only watched episode 1. Didn't you see me post in the business chat?
Yeah,
In the
you
business
posted
chat?
a meme. You posted a first thing you did was post a GIF of a character who only appears in episode 11 or 12 of the show, and then you tried to meme us by saying, "Oh, I'm going to start watching it now." 30 minutes before we recorded, I'm like, "You silly little goose, you!"
You
I was
silly
giggling to
goober.
myself while I was doing that. I was like, "Oh God, I hope they don't actually think I'm about to start watching it."
Like we would.
Yeah,
Like we would. Jay's
Hey,
just like,
you know what?
what a dastardly
when it comes
trick
to
I've
me,
played on them.
I wouldn't be surprised if you thought like, yeah, that makes sense. Jay didn't even start.
I wouldn't have been surprised if you were like, "Yeah, guys, I gotta." What usually happens is it'll be Jay being like, "Oh, sorry, I still have like an episode left as we're like about to record." That's more common, but to like start it right before recording, that'd be too dastardly of you, even.
All right, okay. I wanna start doing this with our reviews before we get into the second half, because I think we're about to go into a break.
Mhm.
Yep, I can feel it. I can feel the break juice coming into me.
Yeah. So I want to know, on what day of the week did you finish watching this show?
So we record on Fridays.
Mhm.
I guess maybe the easier way to do this is how many days before the review?
Right. Sure.
How many hours before the review did you finish this?
Sure.
You can break it into fractions here. Yeah.
Okay.
So I finished it yesterday about 24 hours before the review is when I watched the last 2 episodes. Yeah.
Okay. Jay?
I finished the last episode an hour before we started.
Okay.
Very
Cutting
good.
it close, but that's honestly for Jay, that's actually pretty good margin error. I'm
Not
good
bad,
with
not
that.
bad.
Yeah. Cool.
And yeah, 24 hours. I don't know. 24 hours for me as well. I just think this maybe is a nice hint into our thoughts on it. Did we struggle? Did we try to get through it? Or
Yeah, and I guess
what?
maybe it's important to say, when did you start watching it?
I started watching it on Monday. So I watched all 12 episodes in 4 days.
Oh, we're like samesies for this one. I think I also started at Monday too, and we finished it the Thursday. So
I was like, I got to do 2 episodes a day. Monday night?
I think so. Maybe Tuesday night.
Okay. So yeah, about the same pace.
Yeah. All right. Well,
interesting.
So after the break, we're going to review the hit anime Girls Last Tour. But I think first we need to go use the facilities and top up our cups.
Mhm.
And
The cups runneth dry.
And
also don't forget to check. Remember, we're reviewing things like after Girls Last Tour as well.
Oh, good.
Yes. Like we're reviewing Golden Boy would be the next one after it.
I thought you meant like I've got to pick out and we've got to pick out new
Oh,
shows.
no,
Yes,
no,
of course.
Yeah.
We've got a manga review coming up. It was Jay's pick last, and it was for Nana. Mike mentioned we're going to be reviewing Golden Boy next, followed by Laid Back Camp.
Season 1,
of course.
only.
Yeah. Season 1 only. If for whatever reason you can't keep track of these 3 reviews that I just mentioned, everything's in the description. So you can go down there and check. It's also on the website. Are we still working on that, or?
It's in production. It's in testing phase right now.
It's in public testing. Let's go to a
public beta break. That was like, did you forget?
Welcome back.
You ever seen the video of the lady falling into the bucket of grapes?
Of course I have.
What?
That's a great video.
Classic
internet
meme.
culture.
Classic meme. Yeah. I hope you guys are ready to have fun and be filled with joy and positivity and
Oh, you did start the episode.
Yeah, and great feelings and no impending doom or feelings of melancholy. Just pure joy. Are you guys ready?
It's the happiest anime I've ever seen in my life.
I live in a life of pure joy. So yes.
Wonderful. Yeah, look at us.
Look at us. This is the face of joy.
This is the voice of joy. Yeah, so we're going to review the anime. What year did they come out in?
2018.
I thought it was 2017.
Oh, you're right. Yeah.
We're going to review the 2017 anime Girls Last Tour. This one's from Studio
White Fox.
White Fox.
Yep.
I knew.
Let
Jay,
Jay-
just give me a second, man. Let me look on
It's
here.
Jay's anime. Let Jay do the work.
Well, no, I'm just, I'm being a host. Of course, Jay's going to go over like the synopsis of the synopsis.
Mhm.
But I just want to say this is based on a manga as well. Jay, why don't you tell us what this anime based on a manga that came out in 2017 produced by White Fox is all about?
Sure.
Please.
So,
Get to work, Jay.
this show is as follows. Civilization is dead, but Cheeto and
Excellent,
Yuri
sir.
are still alive. So they hop aboard their beloved Kettenkrad motorbike and aimlessly wander the ruins of the world they once knew. Day after hopeless day, they look for their next meal and fuel for their ride. But as long as the two are together, even an existence as bleak as theirs has a ray or two of sunshine in it. Whether they're sucking down their fill of soup or hunting for machine parts to tinker with. For two girls in a world full of nothing, the experiences and feelings the two share give them something to live for.
Wow, what a beautiful synopsis, Jay.
Well said,
Did you
Jay.
come up
Well
with
said.
that?
Right off the dome.
Right off the dome.
Right off the dome.
It's interesting because I'm on the
It feels like-
AniList. I'm on the AniList site, and that was basically word for word as written by Yen Press.
Right. Well,
Yeah,
that's
you're
what.
learning here live on the podcast that Jay is a dirty plagiarizer.
Well, that's where maybe Yen Press are the plagiarizers. Ever
He's
thought about
onto something,
that?
Mike. Maybe
Hmm?
maybe we're gonna get sued for that comment. Well, I mean, yeah,
No, it's like that Michael Scott quote of Wayne Gretzky. You
Mhm.
you miss every shot you don't take, and then you just say Wayne Gretzky at the end, and then you're
Yeah.
done, right?
yeah.
You're quoting the quote.
So Jay, you should have finished it with source Yen Press,
Yeah.
No.
and then you could have
Source.
said
Then Jay Gardian.
Oh, I had no idea they said that. Yeah, so I think this anime leads itself well to maybe discussing the characters.
Mhm.
Not a huge cast of characters, but obviously they're very integral to the story
there's-
itself.
6 characters total in this one, or something like that.
Yeah.
yes.
So
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Let's talk about characters. Like, how did you feel about? Well, let's start with our leads. How did you feel about Chi and you?
Who's starting?
You opened your mouth, so I was letting you go.
Okay. So I really like their dynamic together. I think that
Mhm.
they played off each other really well, both in terms of like their chemistry, but also like their strengths and weaknesses. Like they work
Yeah.
well as a team.
Mhm.
And I think that like seeing their friendship and also like other things that happen between them was probably one of the most intriguing parts of the show. And
Mhm.
I'd argue like one of the driving forces of the show.
I would argue the secondary point of the show
Yeah.
was their interactions with each other.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Or
yeah.
the relationship, I guess, is what I
Yeah,
would say.
yeah.
Yeah.
And
definitely.
I think for the most part, that works.
Go ahead.
You know, like,
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely like an odd couple type dynamic between the two of them. Like you is very like brash and ditzy. Ditzy be a good way of putting it.
Genki.
Genki a little bit where
Yeah.
you or I'm sorry, Chi is definitely more like intellectual.
It
and
kind of reminded me
quieter.
of the Link Click duo. Like
Mhm.
one's kind of a bit more like bit goofier, impulsive, more emotional.
It's kind of your classic combo of the straight man and the goofy buddy.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it worked well, and it's interesting to have that dynamic in like a post-apocalyptic
Mhm.
world where they, I like the stories where a dynamic like this is kind of forced to work,
Mhm.
and this story does that well, I think.
And I think like at the same time, like the stuff that happens in the first episode, just kind of like shows, without like actually telling us that they're not really like the best of friends at the beginning, but they're kind of more forced to be together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting thing to bring up too, is they didn't necessarily choose this lot in life that they got, but they're just kind of like trying to make the best of it. And they're going about it by like very different ways because they're very different people, right? Like, like you said, Chi is more the like, what would you say? Like kind of stoic, kind of
straight-laced, aloof,
straight, like like kind of just like she's very knowledgeable and intelligent. She can read and stuff. She's always writing in her journal.
She likes history and collects books and that.
It is interesting though. Sorry, saying that at the same time, like Yu is a little more ditzy, but she's also kind of like go with the flow. Where Chi is like, what are we gonna do? What's our next move? Yeah.
That's what I was gonna kind of drive that into, is that like I think Chi is supposed to be like the mind, like the embodiment of like the thinking man in this, whereas Yu is more the embodiment of like just like a purely like pleasure driven, more like spiritual type person, where she kind of just does what she likes.
And that's kind of why
both are just good ways to approach life.
That's kind of why I was saying like they work off each other well, because like one does all the thinking and one does all like the feeling.
Yeah. And I think there's a lot of things in this, because it's a very philosophical anime, where I think sometimes she can be a little too caught up in like the thinking of things, that she's like trying to like kind of analyze it a little too deeply and not missing the point. And then basically you will just come out and just straight up say, this is what that means. And then I think sometimes it kind of like it catches Chi off guard, which is nice, because it kind of snaps her back to like, oh yeah, I'm a person, and I get that now.
Yeah. And I mean, again, like Yu is very good at like telling her like, oh, it's okay. Like just, it's all good. Daijobu, she says all the time. It's her favorite thing to say. But then like in terms of development, by the end, like Chi kind of becomes maybe more in tune with her feelings by the end of the anime.
They both come closer to the center by the end, for sure.
And they become better friends as well because of that. Like you see, like I think like one of the last lines of the show is like, as long as I'm with you, it doesn't really matter.
I felt specifically towards the end, I actually had to Google this because I don't actually know, and I could be totally wrong, but like I was wondering if this had a Yuri tag on it by the end, because they do kind of develop more of a love for each other, but it's not clear whether it's a friend love, like a platonic love, or a romantic interest, and I don't think they would know either at this point.
I understood it
what I can tell
as platonic, because like the tag for that episode was friend at the very end.
Yeah, I feel like they treat each other as like siblings. They have like a sibling dynamic to me.
That's the vibe I got too. It's just it got a little more muddled towards the end, I would say.
Oh yeah. I mean, you're seeing hands interlaced and stuff like that. But I think with in Western culture, like hand holding is a lot more of an
intimate thing than
an intimate like lover thing. Where in Asia, like they'll hold hands with their bros, like we do all the time.
Yeah. Like when we go out to the bookstore and look at manga,
we all hold hands and like swing our arms.
Yeah.
We swing. Me and Cole swing Jay between us.
Yeah. What did you guys think of like the voice acting in this? Did you? I really enjoyed both you and Chi's voice acting in them. I like shows like this where it's very small, and I feel like the voice actors can get like very close to the mic and allow like and allow like I don't know, more intimacy in the voice acting. What did you guys think of it?
I thought that the voice acting really fit the characters, and like I think that at the same time, like their voices, they had that like really cute and sweet voice for both of them, and it really like hit home that dichotomy of like these cute girls in this like barren post-apocalyptic urban wasteland.
Yeah, definitely.
I agree, and I watched this one in both sub and dub.
Oh, that was my next question.
Sorry, I didn't know if you were getting to it or not. And they're honestly interchangeable. You can go back and forth, and they essentially are the same. I did actually kind of prefer the dub a little bit, the actors for it, because they have a little more emotion to their voices. Like, and I feel like the point of this is that they are a little more robotic because they kind of don't know a lot about like what they're dealing with.
A lot, like, I mean, a lot of the show is them learning about this, like the civilization that we know about, right?
Yeah.
Like they don't really know much about like what we consider modern times.
Right. Yeah.
The only thing that I would say, because I did kind of flip back, probably I dipped my toe in the dub, and I would probably say I prefer the sub, to be honest. I found like the two mains sounded too similar in the dub.
Yeah.
Okay.
I had a tough time differentiating them, where in the sub they had distinct voices, both cutesy, like Jay mentioned, but
I like I said, I think that works for what the show is trying to do, putting these like cute girls in like in a bleak situation.
Yeah. And the dub kind of went the route of, I think when you hear that like extremely cute sub Japanese voice, I don't think you can do that in English without it being cringe. Yeah. So that's probably why there is a difference, but it's very cutesy English acting, I would say.
They steered more into a mature take on the characters, I think, in the dub. They had more mature voices for sure. Where in the sub they were like pure cutesy anime.
There's something I want to comment on the dub and the sub. And it's not really about the show, it's just more like a high dive issue. So I have my default setting set to like always playing the sub.
You know.
And every time I like go to a new episode, it would default to the dub anyway, so I'd have to go in and change it.
Really?
I noticed that too.
So that's just probably an issue with, because they recently like updated their apps and stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing that's probably
again. It's not like an issue with the show or anything. It was just like a little annoying thing that.
All right,
that
Jay.
I deal with.
You brought this up. Now I can complain. Listen, I love High Dive. I genuinely do. I think they get great shows, and their UI isn't. You know what? No, it is bad, and I'll tell you why. I put this on my watch list.
I think I know where you're going with this. Yeah.
You have to jump through hoops to find your watch list on High Dive. You have to go into your profile, go to your list.
There's watch lists on High Dive. I've never even like explored this.
The other issue too is I've watched a handful of shows on High Dive. For whatever reason, it doesn't show up on my continue watching list.
I had the exact same problem. Yeah.
It says my last show I watched was like, I don't know, something I watched in like 2020.
Yeah.
It's like, I haven't watched Rosaphon in years. Why is this
Hopefully
my
this is stuff
next
that
episode?
will get inked out. And High Dive Sound, if you're listening to us, here's some feedback for your app.
Yeah. No, you guys get great shows. It's just, your UI needs a little work. I want you to be the best you can be, because I want competition in the market.
More stuff of yours because you have some good shows on your
you got some good shows, but
lots of good shows.
Yeah, going back to voice acting, I just want to say Kana Hanazawa is in this.
I was waiting for you to mention that. Yeah, my very minor role.
Very minor role, but I liked her as the cut, as they said.
As cut, yeah.
I like Nuko. I like Nuko. Yeah. That's a better name for him. Or her. It. Let's say it.
It. Yeah.
The cut. Yeah. Where's the cut?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yuki Kaji was also in this one. He plays
the robot.
What did you think of like character designs in this one though? Like very distinct character designs that again like fed into that dichotomy between the world.
They're
and
moe
the
blobs is the easy way to put it. They're moe blobs, right? And I'm not particularly fond of the moe blob aesthetic that much. And I think I know what they're going for here with like, again, you guys keep bringing up the dichotomy, like the contrasting of the extremely cute and like whimsical things that they're doing in the daily life to the very bleak landscape. But I just, at the end of the day, I'm just not a fan of the character designs for the main two characters. I just thought they were too blobby, just a little too blobby for me. I just needed, it just kind of didn't do it for me.
Yuri is definitely, or you is definitely very blobby. Like her eyes are just like enormous. I found Chi was a bit less.
A little less.
I think for me, like at the same time, yes, Yuri does look blobby, but I think that kind of fits her whimsical character a bit more. Cause like, Chi being a bit more like rigid and like more, I guess solid being the best way I can describe it, kind of follow or fits her character of being that more like straight-laced, intellectual type.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And the two adults we see in the show too are kind of just like they're kind of generic, but they're designed nicely and they look a little more adult than these two, who I guess the implication of the moe blobness of them is that they're like much younger.
Yeah.
But I genuinely, I feel like they're not supposed to be that young, but like maybe just the way they look makes them seem younger.
I think they're supposed to be like teenagers. Like
I think they're like 15, 16, something like that, if I had to guess.
Yeah. No, I can forgive the moe blob because I understand where what you're saying. Like it can be off-putting, but it's definitely a pure stylistic choice in this manga.
Yes,
like it is very intentional. I think.
Yeah,
and I think at the same time, it's just the artist's art style, right? Like that's how they draw characters. Yeah,
and part of it too, I think, is it's pretty much doing the same thing as an anime we're going to compare this to later when we talk about comparisons, is Made in Abyss does the exact same thing. Yeah, but I think Made in Abyss has they're less blobby in some way that I like it there and I don't like it here, and I don't know why exactly. I can't put my tongue on it.
Is it because it's less moe?
A little bit of maybe Made in Abyss is less moe. Maybe that's what it is.
I don't know. Made in Abyss is pretty moe-y, but whatever. We can discuss that later. I think that kind of brings us into like production, like the animation in and of itself. What did you guys think? Jay, I'm sorry, I keep throwing it to you two to figure it out.
Throw it to one of us, please.
Yeah, no. I really liked the production of it all. Like, the first thing I want to bring attention to is the contrast of the 2D and 3D animation, and I thought that they were both like integrated very well in ways where I was like, it didn't feel out of place, whereas a lot of the 3D animation that a lot of people look at as like, oh, this is terrible, it didn't look, or they normally will like look out of place, or they'll be like, oh, that's clearly 3D, where like this didn't feel like that to me.
I'll respectfully disagree a little bit. There were moments where the CG looked good, but then there were also moments like the bike in particular I found looked a little too rigid, and it seemed like they didn't have the CG technology yet, maybe in 2018 to like
disagree. I thought it looked good.
It looked crisp, but it was a little too crisp. Sometimes CG can be a little too clean, and it just took me out of it a little bit.
I think I'm somewhere in between, to be honest with you two. It's noticeable, but not so much that I think it took me out of it. Like basically, just to kind of describe it to the people who haven't watched this, anytime the girls, like there's a wide shot of the bike that they're on, the bike and the girls on the bike are CG, which
and a lot of times the environment as well.
It's mostly the characters. I can forgive an environment being in 3D, especially
and especially in this where there's lots of like cylinders and stuff like that. I personally didn't find I thought the environment looked really good a lot of the time with the CG, but just particularly the model that they used for the bike with the two girls on it kind of threw me off a few times.
It can be a little rigid. It's kind of the, like whenever you're watching an anime and there's a horse in it, it's always CG. Yeah. It's fine.
It didn't look horrible, but you just notice it. It's noticeable.
It's noticeable.
I think I noticed maybe once, and it was just the girls that looked bad.
Mm-hmm.
But like,
I'm thinking of the scene where they drive over pipes with the bike as well. and like the bike just like goes straight up like on a 45-degree angle, and then just like basically comes down straight like that. And I was just like, I feel like there'd be more bounce to it. The wheel might squish a little bit. The characters might jostle a bit on the bike if it was an actually animated bit. Whereas in this, the CG model just went up and then down.
Oh,
And I stuff like that I thought took me out a little bit.
no, I thought that was fine. I thought they did a good job of like mechanically like making the suspension move on the bike. Maybe I'll have to go back and look at.
No,
look for
again, this is all
specifically.
subjective stuff. So this is all opinion based, right?
Yeah. But like otherwise, like what about like the design of the world? Like Mike mentioned, there was lots of cylinders and stuff like that. Like there's lots of areas that the girls go through that are very like industrial. So how did you feel about like the industrial design of it? Did you feel like this was organic? I guess.
It's an interesting word to use, organic.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed the world design of this. Like I thought the levels aspect to it was like a cool like mystery that we like. There's so many mysteries to it, and just like this is like we're gonna say the typical thing where like the setting is a character in this anime.
Ooh,
It really was, and just like you have these two bubbly girls, moe blobs running through the world, and then you get like this like ultra bleak. There's literally no life at all, no greenery. You'll be going through like a bunch of these metal cylinders, and they even mentioned in the show too. They're like, and it's designed to look like a forest to you and me who know what a forest looks like. But in their world, it's just like, oh, there's just a bunch of pipes sticking out of the ground here, and they don't really truly know what a forest is.
Yeah,
and it's just it's a cool way to illustrate like how bleak this world truly is.
And I mean, I think that
think,
this world did a very good job of like that show don't tell method of storytelling, where like every time they go somewhere, every time they do something, it tells us something about what's been going on or what is going on in this world, without like just whacking us over the head with it.
Yeah, it does a good job of like subtle storytelling. And it works well with like girls who are kind of Mike mentioned it, girls who are like kind of bubbly and maybe unaware even of how bleak the world is.
Yeah,
and that makes the world like feel ignorant. Even more bleak. Yeah,
ignorant feels like a good word. Like they truly don't maybe understand how dire their world is, because it's like ignorance is bliss, right? They don't know what they're missing out on.
Yeah, like they don't know that. Like I towards the end, are we getting into like plot stuff, or does this still kind of feel like design? It feels like design because it kind of emphasizes
I feel
the
like
design.
I feel like we need to make sure you can be like not super rigid, because if you have a good point, bring it up.
Yeah. At the end, they kind of start seeing like bits of the past in a way.
Yeah.
And there's this one shot of like a sporting event, and it's just a throwaway shot. They don't even comment on it, but it really, I feel like for those characters to see tens of thousands of people in a crowd must be mind blowing to them. When the most they've ever seen is a dozen people, maybe, before they set off on this journey.
Yeah.
It's very bleak. It's a very bleak world.
Yeah.
And it's fitting though, because it kind of, you have like I said, you have the bubbly characters in this ultra bleak world, and it's a cool contrast. And I mean, it's been done many times, this kind of concept of like, oh, let's take everything out of the world, and what you have left is the interactions between people. Like it's a deep concept that it works, but it's cool. It's a cool look. And I feel like they did the character designs, while it's not my cup of tea, as well as like the world designs, which are maybe more my cup of tea, and like the robot designs and stuff that come up are all they're good.
They
enjoy
all
them,
serve to tell a story, I feel.
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
And the thing that I think really does a good job of accenting the tone of this anime is the direction. Like there were a couple of camera angles that like I really liked. Like there was that shot in episode 1 that was like the bullets POV, which I thought was really cool. coming out of the barrel of the gun.
Cool idea.
But like at the same time, just like how the title cards are presented, like you'll just like the episode starts like kind of cold openish, and then like you'll get like a wide shot with like the like kind of like a short film-esque like quick title of the
I think
episode.
it was like the chapters.
Yeah.
Like, I think each one of those titles was like one of the chapters of the manga.
Yeah, that's probably what it is. But like, just the way that they kind of introduced that, I thought was like really
cinematic.
Cinematic, but also like it really set like the vibe of the show, and really like it was just like a great directorial choice, I think.
I agree. Like the way that it's shot is very like pondering, maybe is the word I'd use, where it's like there'll be lots of like very still shots with not a lot of motion in it, and it's like there is stuff to look at, but it's kind of barren and bleak. It reminded me a lot of like Evangelion a lot of the times, where like there'll be like a still shot of something, and at the time Evangelion probably did it because they didn't have much budget, but it like they basically made it work in a way that's artistic. They made the lack of action and everything artistic and interesting. Yeah. And one thing that I really enjoyed about the direction of this is that the show makes you ask a lot of questions to yourself. It basically asks you questions. And because it's paced so slowly, and it's paced and like there's not a ton of like visual things to look at, it actually kind of like helps you have time to actually think about what it's asking you and what it's I think that's part of the direction, is that it's designed to ask you a question and then give you time to ruminate on it.
And I think at the same time, like even the answers that it presents to you to those questions, like it allows you
I don't think it gives you much answers,
It
though.
gives you some, like, I mean,
it gives you their opinions, but it doesn't really tell you who's right.
Well, I don't think that that's part. I'm not saying that the answers are correct, but like they are giving answers to some degree, and it lets you ponder what those answers are.
Yeah, what their thoughts are
whether
versus
or not you
what your
agree
own
with them.
thoughts are.
Yeah.
And just kind of going off of that, of course, the what walks hand in hand with visuals would be, of course, the OST. I thought the music in this was very well done as well. Very
Phenomenal.
sparse as well, just like the cinematography of it, very pensive, very non-obtrusive, I would say.
Very atmospheric.
Very atmospheric.
That's a good word for it.
They do like their insert songs. I do like the use of the two characters. They don't know what music is, yet they're constantly making music.
I know,
which I love. I love that.
Yeah, it kind of gets to one thing that I enjoyed about this too, is like, it's kind of diving into themes a little bit, but like one of the running themes is that like the humans have certain things that make the humans. Yeah. And like you do them without even realizing. And like they don't know what music is, but like you said, they make music constantly. Like she's always singing, "This is hopeless, this is hopeless," or stuff like that. And it's like, and they're like, yeah, it's cool. It's a cool exploration of that idea.
It's a very like, what makes a human? Well, music. Partially is what makes humans. We love patterns if we want to get overly analytical. But yeah, I really enjoy the OST and its kind of use. Like, of course, the famous one would be at the end of one episode where they set up a bunch of
pots and pans.
The like rain episode where they're high.
Yeah. Jay, what did you think of the OST?
I mean, like I kind of echo everything you said. Like I think that the atmospheric tone of the music kind of elevates the themes and everything of the show itself. So like I'm not gonna say that like it's the most Girls Last Tour OST, because I think that we're gonna overuse that comment.
That trope.
I mean, it comes up like every time.
But I will say that like it does a very good job of helping you feel in the moment and feel what you want the characters, or what you want, what they want you to feel based on.
It's a very
moment.
good OST. It's a good OST. It's not.
I will say in this case, I would kind of maybe use that cliche that we like to use, because this OST like you're definitely not going to put this OST on because there's 3 songs in the OST, but they use them well and they use them sparingly.
Yeah.
And they're not in your face, and they work very well in this show where everything is like that. It's not in your face. It's very quiet,
introspective. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that brings us to our favorite, everyone's favorite time, everyone's favorite segment of one of our reviews, OPs and EDs. The crowd is going wild. Can you hear them?
Yes. Cole's canned crowd there is going nuts.
No, that's organic. So let's start with the OP. I know I pause for dramatic effect. Really enjoyed this OP. I again, like, it's all about dichotomy with this show. It was very like not what you would expect a show like this to be. Like,
it was
Mushishi
very, like,
has
bright.
Mushishi has a very like slow, non-somber OP, which is kind of comparable in terms of themes to this. But like, this OP is like a bop. I love it. Mike, what did you think of the OP?
I also enjoyed it, and I feel like we're dancing around the elephant in the room here, where it's the voice actresses who do the OP and ED for this show as well, which is kind of a cool little tidbit as well.
Yeah,
I'm always a fan of the groovy, fun OP and ED for like a show like this.
Yeah,
where it's very serious and you almost need like a little bit of a
levity.
Okay, let's get some. Yeah, levity is a great word for it. And it's fitting too for the show, because realistically, like, the girls are pretty positive for it being such a melancholic show, right?
Yeah,
and the songs bop. If you read the lyrics to it as well, it's the classic trope of a very happy sounding song, and then you read the lyrics and it's like, that's not happy at all.
I wouldn't call it happy or not happy. Like, it's just about them, like, they like want to be together even if it's the end of the world, which is like, yeah, sad, but like also not sad. Like,
yeah,
I don't know, like, it's all about that, you see, like, it's happy.
I
but
feel
sad.
like when you read the lyrics for OPs and EDs too, you can kind of like, I feel like they betray the true intention of the show a little bit a lot of the times. And
well, I think that's just the nature of it being written for the show, right? Like, they're
correct.
You're right.
Yeah.
I will say, I think the two of you were higher on the song than I was. I wouldn't add this song to my playlist or anything, or I wouldn't listen to it in a vacuum.
I wouldn't either.
I would.
For what it's worth.
But I did like its incorporation with the visuals and how that reflects the overall tone of the show. And I mean, I don't want to use this phrase because it's comparable to one I just said I wouldn't use, but I think like
we're keeping track, Jay.
Yeah, here we go, Jay.
I think it's probably the most fitting way to do an OP for a show like this.
Well, you're on thin ice. If you use one more cliche thing, Jay, I'm gonna be very upset with you.
Yeah,
like,
you can't use too many cliches.
I feel like if it were more somber, more dreary, it wouldn't fit, because like it would kind of be like you're close, but you're not really there yet.
Yeah.
Well, going back to Cole's comparison to Mushishi, which is another fitting comparison for the show a little bit. The difference there is that Mushishi, the protagonist, the main character, is very somber and very like stoic, right? Whereas this one, you have like two moe cutesy girls kind of being silly,
right.
Which it just would feel off to have them in the OP staring at the sunset, like.
Yeah, it feels like something that the main characters would make.
Yes,
given the chance,
with their little camera there,
with their little camera, and they're dabbing, and they're dabbing.
I will say, like, the dabbing and things like that, I wasn't the biggest fan of, just because like it kind of dates the show a little bit. And
you're not wrong, but it's fine.
I love it. I love the dab.
Like,
I love the dab. I love the moonwalk. I love
the moonwalk's fine, because I feel like the moonwalk is a bit more timeless of a dance.
They're just grooving. I think they're just grooving.
But like, I don't know. I feel like it didn't have as much of a dated reference as the dab, but like it's just a minor nitpick.
It'd be like if they came out, I guess, and they were doing like the Soulja Boy, like
that'd be fire.
That'd be dated, but it'd still be kind of cool.
Or like they're walking around doing the gritty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think dances are pretty timeless. I think.
I don't know.
In my opinion.
I'm into the dab. More dabs and OPs. The ED I liked as well. It's probably more stylistic than the OP. Again, the song is good. Same idea. It's kind of a poppy, boppy song, but it's more like pencil sketchy, which
I really like that.
I think the ED is more of an homage to the manga from what I've kind of seen online too. And I think, I don't know if you guys have read the manga at all. I think
I may or may not have read the last chapter of the manga.
I also read the last chapter of the manga.
We'll talk. I feel like let's not talk about that because I think I mean, you can, it's called Girls Last Tour. I can imagine what happens. We'll talk about that later.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that there's something.
I don't want to know what happens, but
there's something in the ED that I think is a direct homage to the end of the manga. Which, it's all just, all of this bad stuff isn't necessarily happening to them because all of the bad stuff has already happened. They're just trying to survive and live.
It's already happened. They're just kind of living in the aftermath.
I think the other thing to talk about too is that they changed the ED up a little bit throughout this. Like there is, like we said, the can episode.
Yeah.
And like when I was updating this on my Annie list, actually, General Mills, a listener to the show here, actually posted and replied and said, excited to hear what you guys think of this one. And they said, this ED lives rent free in my heart. And it's the one when they're listening to the music of the rain there.
Yeah.
And I think it's touching for sure.
I did. Yeah. Like there's, go ahead, Jay.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead. No, go.
Okay. I did really appreciate that it did do different EDs and it wasn't just stuck in that rigid sense because it felt like it knew like, okay, we need to do something else rather than just like.
Same thing with it did the same thing with the OP too, where it kind of didn't always go do the OP.
Yeah.
It didn't really work.
I did appreciate that. And like the one that I kind of think of is the one where they're at the aquarium. I feel like if they went to the ED for that, it would have been like, this doesn't really fit the tone or the mood.
Yeah.
Best episode, by the way.
It is absolutely the best episode.
It had some action in it, which was nice.
Maybe why.
Honestly, the action for me wasn't why I liked it. I think it was more the
I don't think so,
introspective question that it asked.
Yeah.
I think it's, if I had to show somebody one episode of the show to explain to them what it's about and like the true point of the show, that's the episode I'd show them.
No, I think we all have things that we want to discuss in the plot. The plot of the show, I think, is probably the biggest part, right? Like it's not much necessarily happens in the plot per se, but like the themes of the show are enormous.
The themes are enormous.
The themes are the biggest part of the show. The plot is kind of bare.
I think like in terms of like things that actually happen, it's more like those throwaway things, like Cole says, that like you will have to pay attention to look at to actually get like a sense of what actually happened in contrast to just everything playing out in front of you.
At the end of the day, it is a Yashike slice of life show, and it at that point, like it's hard to have a deep and a really deep plot where lots of things happen when you're doing slice of life, because realistically, that's just not what it is, right?
I mean, it's much more of just an in medias res slice of life story.
What does that mean?
It basically starts in the middle of a story.
Yeah.
Oh,
you're dropped in the middle. It is funny that like this is considered a Yashike when like at the same time you get this sense of dread when watching this show that you don't really get in other healing animes, which I don't think is a bad thing.
No, it's nice because it gives like it's almost like medicine. It's like sweet with this really like bitter undertone, you know, like you're watching it and you're like, oh, that's cute. They're dancing or whatever. And then you're kind of remembering, oh yeah, they're the last humans alive.
Yeah. It's
they're
very,
running out of food.
It makes it linger too. It makes the anime sit in your head for longer than it would if it was just like, if it was basically just them camping, right?
Yeah.
Which ultimately that is kind of what it is, but
it is essentially what they're doing. Yeah.
But the underlying ideas behind it and the world around them makes you realize that there's more to it without it just saying like, we're the last people. It's like, you get that.
Yeah.
It did a lot of show don't tell too, which is something I appreciate in a plot and world building as well. Like it kind of just showed you, oh, okay, they're on the 8th level now. Or like when someone falls down to the lowest level and they kind of like show you how far down it really is and stuff like that. And it's kind of like, oh, it's interesting. It makes you wonder what happened. And they kind of, later on, they kind of give you a little more answers to it. And I guess since we're talking about plot, I'll just quickly say that like, honestly, I felt like I didn't like that. I wanted to know more, but I didn't want it exposition dumped on me, if that makes sense.
I don't think it dumped exposition, and
I'm being extreme, but yeah.
I honestly respectfully disagree with that. I liked the explanations that it gave. Like, it didn't give me enough that I was like, okay, everything's ruined now. But it gave me something to kind of go off of, to give me a sense of a timeline. And I like that. I liked seeing like where we are in this world. And like, even then, like there were just like little things like, on the camera, you got to see exactly the year, month, and day and time they were in. Like, and all of that just served as to like expand on what's going on, where they are, what they're doing, and
it kind of basically at the very end of the anime, it like zooms out and tells you what's going on. It gives you like kind of the perspective.
I will say too, this show is low key one of the most ruthless shows when it comes to like side characters and the different people that they meet along the way. They're kind of just, I don't want to say thrown aside because they kind of go off and do their own thing, but you never hear about them again. And you never will.
And there's kind of a thing that's said that made me wonder what was going on with them a little bit.
Yeah.
And I'll get into that. I'll get into that when we do the spoiler talk.
Yeah, like for example, they meet, I think it's in like episode 3 or 4, they meet a guy.
3 gives them the camera.
And he kind of just like at the end of the episode, they kind of just part ways and he goes wandering off on his own. And they mention like, do you think we'll ever see him again? No, probably not. And it's like, okay, no, like it's just,
it's so a fact of life at that point, right?
It's just so barren.
It's so matter of fact.
Sad. Yeah.
And I mean, like, I don't dislike that because, like,
I don't dislike it at all.
There are people that
I
you
really
meet in
like
life.
that.
Yeah, like, I mean, there are people that you meet in life that, like, you see them once, you get to know them, and then, like, life forces you into different directions.
I think it's interesting too that we're watching this coming hot off the heels of watching Free Ren as well, because they're both very like the point of the anime is what is the point of life and human interactions with each other and stuff like that. Yeah. And they deal with leaving and kind of just this like prolonged grief in kind of similar, but also very different ways, which is, it's interesting. It makes you think for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, I don't want it to come off as like me saying that that's a bad thing. I really like when art like this leaves me in a state where I'm like my brain is fried.
Like a stare at the wall at the end of it. Not in, sometimes usually when Jay will say he's like sat and stared at the ceiling after he's read the beginning after the end or something like that, it's in like he's in a sense of despair, like he's feeling sad and kind of just over like whatever. This one, it just like it's things will happen.
You just need to think. You need a moment to,
because it's so it's like it just happens, and then it seems whimsical at the time, and then like the gears turn in your brain a little bit, and you kind of think about it a little more, and then you're like,
wait a minute.
No, I mean, like the biggest thing I would say about the show, like if I could surmise the show down into like one singular word, it would be melancholy. Like it's not sad, it's not happy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's happy in spite of it being sad, and it's sad in spite of it being happy as well.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah, it's
melancholic.
Like, yeah, I was gonna say like it's happy in its sadness, and it's sad in its happiness.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I wrote down in my notes here the word for the themes as positive nihilism.
Yeah,
which seems kind of crazy when you think about it, but it's kind of like a worldview that I sort of take in, where like nothing really at the end of the day matters that much.
Mm-hmm.
So just kind of enjoy everything that you can.
Well, like
and that's sort of what this is all about.
Yeah, I think like there's that point of like nothing matters, and because of that, everything matters.
It's freeing to know that nothing matters. Yeah, and you're right. And because nothing matters, everything kind of does. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, like with regards to themes and like feelings, what are these things? Like you feel like part of the melancholy is just like how ignorant the girls are,
mm-hmm.
and you feel bad about that as well. And they
Even
have
for simple
no
things like naming a cat.
Yeah,
they're like, oh, I think this is a cut. I think that's what they're called, or like, and stuff like that. Or when like they're talking about, I think this is like a forest, I think. And they're like, what's a forest? And like, I don't really know. I've read about them.
Yeah. And they have no way of knowing. Like there's not going to be an opportunity where they'll like find some person to be like, yes, I remember forests back when I was a child. It's no, they won't. Or they'll never know.
Or like they'd like be like, what's a living being?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right. Like,
yeah.
Which I mean, at the same time is a whole thing that they explore. And I think that was really interesting.
Yeah. What's the difference between a machine and a living thing?
It's ironic too, that the biggest like what is life moment, and again, this is something that's been done many times, but like the biggest what does it mean to be alive moment is when they're talking to a robot.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah.
It's like such a classic thing to do, but it works so well in this. And I loved that episode for that.
Yeah. Same.
No, it was a very good episode, even like from a mini character development point of view as well, with you kind of learning to not want to eat the
learning empathy.
Learning empathy. Yeah. What is empathy,
They
Jay?
literally learn empathy. Like they literally ask, what is empathy? And then what did they say? I liked what he said, but I can't remember it off the top of my head now.
I think it was like when my happiness is your happiness or something like that.
I think he says if you're happy, then I'm happy.
Yeah.
That's empathy. Yeah. That's such a nice, again, like this is such a good anime for that. Like when you can quote things like that you can use in your everyday life and kind of teach you about yourself and your emotions and stuff. That's the sign of good writing.
Yeah. Well, and like they throw out like, they come out to this like sculpture of something. It's like a clock sculpture, and it's like she says like, oh, it survived, and it's like, well, it was never alive. What do you mean it survived? It's like little things like that where I don't even think they address it in it, but a show like this is slow to the point where I start thinking about what do we mean when something that is innate and not alive, what do we mean when we say, oh, it survived? It was never alive to begin with.
Or like the one that I thought about was like when they were like they were talking about time, and she was like, well, it doesn't go at a certain speed, or does it? And like, I don't know, it just like that introspective thought of like the mechanics of time in real life. Like it just I don't know, it was just
And kind of like I said earlier too, like it asks these big questions of you that they need a moment for you to think. And because it's so slowly paced and like there's not a lot going on the screen or like musically or anything, you're literally for a lot of this show like watching two girls sit and talk or just kind of walk, and like they'll drop a hard question like that on you, and you actually it gives you the time to ponder it, and it basically forces you to ponder it because really you don't have much else to do while you're just exploring this world, these two girls.
So we've kind of touched on like comparisons and recommendations, but maybe we can get into that. Did you guys have some maybe comparisons that you would make with this one? We'll start with you, Jay.
Yeah, sure. There were two that I thought of. There's another one that I think Mike's going to use, so I'll let him have that. But the first one was Kino's Journey.
So generous.
Man, how many times do you gotta bring up Kino's Journey? That's the third cliche thing. I told you you're on thin ice.
There's another one that I'll get to in a moment.
Watch a different anime.
But the first one was Kino's Journey, and it's just because like it's about Kino traveling the world and like learning about different philosophical ideas on life. And I mean like that's just 1-to-1 pretty much. Like,
yeah.
But the other one, and I think that this one might be a little interesting, was Nier Automata.
Okay. Yeah.
Just kind of like
the same aesthetic a little bit.
Just kind of like that post-apocalyptic world, where like the only thing that like really kind of survived was like technology. And at the same time has these very philosophical ideas that it presents throughout its story.
Yeah. Okay.
I think Nier Automata is obviously a lot more faster paced, but like in terms of like its setting and tone and themes, I think it lines up.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I
having
think
not
that's a good
seen
comparison.
or played that game. Yeah, sure. I agree.
Excellent.
Yeah, just from like a purely like outside view, like I get that comparison for sure. The one that it really, the obvious one, Jay, I think was leaving for me is Made in Abyss.
Yeah,
because it's the same thing. It's cute moe characters in a really dark world. Made in Abyss is different though, because their world is much more aggressively dark towards them, whereas this is just kind of like bleak.
Yeah. It's that world is more attack. This world is like more. There's nothing left to attack.
Yeah, exactly. They literally at one point ask like, "Why do you need that gun? Like, there's no one's gonna shoot you.
Yeah,
you're not gonna fight anyone.
Yeah,
there's nobody here to fight you. There's nothing. There's no animals. There's nothing. Like you're anyway." But the other, I have a couple more that I thought of, and I don't know if Cole wants to go first.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah.
The other one, I don't think either of you have watched. It's an anime called Haibane Renmei. It came out in the early 2000s, and it touches on a topic that it's essentially the plot of it is there's like these angels within the walls of this city, and essentially it kind of is like a big like purgatory allegory and stuff like that, which I feel like is really similar to this, where it's like you could argue that they're in purgatory.
I thought about that when I was watching this. I thought, you know what? More than purgatory, I thought, is this an allegory for hell? Or are they in hell?
Yeah, the 7 layers of hell or whatever like that. I would be stunned to find out if the layers that they're extending is not just like a Dante's Inferno type.
I thought it was
something like that.
So the thing that I thought it was like the Tower of Babel. Like they like the humans built a tower trying to reach the heavens and they got punished for it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Apt for sure.
Mm-hmm.
The other one is Grave of the Fireflies, just for purely like
pain.
First of all, World War II aesthetic, and like just kind of the bleakness of it all is it's just kind of heartbreaking, but in like with these 2 cute characters, and you want the best for them, but you just know it's not going to end well. You know? Yeah. Cole, what did this recommend, or what does this remind you of?
Well, like I would say things that it reminded me of weren't necessarily plot related, because I feel like this is a very unique anime in the sense that like
there's not much
of what
like
it
this,
does.
for sure.
There's nothing really like this in terms of what it made me feel. I mean, the closest would be like something like Goodnight Pun Pun, where you just feel. You feel feelings at the end. But like in terms of the aesthetic, I'm talking about manga behind me, Knights of Sidonia. I feel like the kind of post-apocalyptic, weird sci-fi, but like it doesn't look like typical sci-fi. Like everything's kind of boxy and stuff like that. The other comparison I thought of, again, in terms of the way that the story is told, would be Madoka Magica as well.
I had written down Madoka Magica as well. Again,
just
just cute girls in a bleak world.
yeah. Where Madoka is like people can live in the world of Madoka Magica without being in this bleak world, where this is inescapable, which makes it even more bleak.
In Madoka, their situations are more bleak, but the world itself isn't as bleak.
Yeah, and like I don't want to say they put themselves in that situation, but they more so did, where in this it's they are thrust into this world without any choice. And they just have to do whatever they're doing. What are they doing? Where are they going? I keep thinking that to myself too. Like I know that they're trying to get to an upper level, but it's like, why? What's up there?
No, I think that comes back to the positive nihilism I was talking about, Cole, is the
They
why
just need a
doesn't
goal.
matter.
Yeah.
They just go because they have nothing else to do.
Yeah, and I think at the same time, like they're like, that's what they're wondering. Like they're like, what's at the top?
Yeah.
Like
That's
just find
that's
out.
the only thing left to do is to just do something, I guess. Yeah.
Because I often see like, why don't they just like, why don't they just stay in these apartment buildings? Like it looks.
Well, they even had an episode where they did that. Like they were like, oh, we could stay here, and like they had like all these thoughts of like where they put stuff, and
that was so sad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was so sad. They're like planning where they're going to put everything, but they have nothing to put in there. Yeah. The show made me sad sometimes.
We talked about Madoka Magica, and I don't know if that's maybe a good way to transition into like our final thoughts and ratings on it a little bit.
Yeah,
because like,
no, that's exactly where I was going. Yeah.
I was curious what you guys thought of this compared to Madoka Magica.
Sure.
We reviewed both of them, right?
Yeah. Well, Jay, why don't we start with you then?
Sure.
Final thoughts and rating.
Yeah. So, I don't want to put another series down to raise this up, but like I really did love this show, and I'm not the biggest fan of Madoka Magica.
Yeah.
But like I loved the interaction between the characters. I love the way it tells the story. I love the way they just live in this world. The voice acting was good. The OP and ED were very fitting for the show. Like there is very, very little to say in terms of like criticism, aside from maybe like if you want something a bit more fast paced, you're not going to find that here. But like if you want like some a very good philosophical, really just like a thought experiment, I guess, because like most of the time you're going to be spent thinking about like philosophical topics like life and what life is and what you would do at the end of the world and that kind of thing. But like it's just an overall sublime show. And I think it is AniPro certified.
Oh, I love when Jay uses the word sublime. It sounds sublime coming out of his lips. Yeah.
There's a compliment,
that
Jay.
means it's,
Okay.
He doesn't look very pleased. He never does when I speak to him. What was I guess it's my turn now, right?
It's your turn, Mike. Yeah.
I love shows like this where they make me feel emotions like a human. They make me think about they make me think deeply on big questions in life and I love anime. You know what? Art. I feel like art and philosophy go so closely hand in hand that almost they're pointless without each other. And this is a good show that teaches you that a little bit, because the whole thing is just basically, it's honestly one big long philosophy class. Like you're just sitting there watching these two girls in this horrible world where there's nothing left except for them just to explore what it means to be human. And the answer that they basically learn and teach you as by proxy is that what was really important is eating a nice meal together, having some delicious bread, or sitting in the rain and listening to raindrops hit pots and pans, and it makes you think of like a cool little beat, and then you listen to a music or something like that. Or there's just like so many little moments in this, and it gives it the time to breathe and for you to think about them and think along with these characters about what these things mean. Or there's like, they go and visit this shrine and they're all excited because they think they see plants, and then they find out that they're not even real, and they're like, what's the point of a shrine if a plant that's not real? That's such a deep question, and they just quickly throw that out there, and because it made me think all these things, and because it made me feelies, I think I it's got to be between Certified and Tickled My Jimmies. And I think I'm going to go tickle my jimmies for this one, boys. I think it could have been certified.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know what it needs to do to get there. But for me, it's just not quite there. I'm going to give it a tickle of my old jimmies for this one. Yeah.
Okay, my turn. Let me just say that the world is in a very bad place where when I was watching the show, I was jealous of the characters. I just want to live in a world where I don't have to worry about paying bills and stuff. But that's more of a me problem.
Okay, go watch Psalm 100 then.
Yeah. I will say is that the show puts you in the situation that these girls are in by not explaining anything to you, and you have to kind of learn to accept that. It's not going to give you plot dumps. It's not going to give you exposition. You're just in this world, and that's great. I really enjoyed the show for doing that. It makes the melancholy of the show hit that much harder because I know as much as the girls know, which is to say not much. I like the character dynamics. I really like you. I really like Chi. I really like towards the end of the show when there's kind of some character drama and we're not quite sure what's happening to each of them. And it really hits at that point. And yeah, I'm kind of with Mike when I say, like, I don't know if I would say this tickles my jimmies or it's AniPro certified, but I think in the sense that after I watched it, I had to process it and I had to watch Yuru Camp after this to just feel
better,
happy.
Yeah.
For that reason, I think art needs to do that. And for that reason, I would say this is AniPro certified from me. It does everything I want a good piece of art to do, which is make me think. And this does that very, very well.
Make you think and make you feel, I think, are the two musts for a piece of work.
Absolutely. And yeah, it's a great way to say it. And then the one thing you should really think about too is who's better, Chi or you? Who's the best girl?
I was gonna skip over best girl, but okay. No, I mean that's true. Like who do you like more?
We're definitely skipping over best boy because there's literally one. So
there's literally one.
Yeah.
So how about best character?
Yeah.
Instead?
Well, I mean, like who do you identify with more? Are you more of a you guy? Or are you more of a Chi guy? Jay, start with you.
I mean, yeah. Let's start with Chi, actually, because that's my pick.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know, like I kind of like I more so identify with her like stoic like thinking and maybe overthinking aspect instead over the like go with the flow chill vibes that you provided. So like I think in that sense I'd probably say Chi.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mike?
I would also echo, I feel like the world set me up to be a you guy, but at my heart, I'm really a Chi guy in this one. Just because I think I identify more with her. I like her thought process a lot more, whereas you is just a little too impulsive and kind of just like a little too, I don't know.
A little too brash, I guess.
Maybe a bit brash, but like I usually like those things, but there's just something about you that kind of just didn't do it for me. And I'm a Chi guy.
Yeah. And for me, I would basically echo exactly what Mike said. Like the world set me up to be a you guy. Obviously, you know me, I like my Genki girls, but Chi, I found myself more engaged with her. She felt more like the main character to me.
Yeah. You's almost borderline the secondary character.
That being said, I'm gonna kind of go off of stray from the path away from you.
It's gonna go off the rails here.
I identify more with you than I do with Chi. I think. I think if I was in this kind of situation, I would be more you. I would be like, well, we just gotta keep going. We just gotta do what we gotta do to survive. And Chi, I feel like I like Chi more because she would feed off of my natural state in an emergency situation like this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I
feel like you're also more likely to hold me and Jay hostage for a treat. Like hold a gun.
You
hold
pull
us
a
down
gun
away
once,
because you want the treat.
Yeah.
So yeah,
that is
that's
true.
fitting.
Yeah. No, exactly. You guys always got to watch your back when you're around me because you never know. You never know what I'm going to do.
So official rating for this one, by the way, certified. This is our AniPro, our 5th ever AniPro certified show. How about that?
I would agree. I think, like Jay said, I don't know what I would critique this show on. Like even the pacing, I think is purely, it's slow for sure, but it's not slow in the sense that it's like painfully slow.
I think
it feels like it's slow on purpose.
In the sense like the pacing of the show is more comes down to a point of taste. And like if you don't like slow shows, you're not gonna like this.
Yeah.
But like if you're fine with it, then like you're in for a great show.
I think the thing is pacing has to match the content, right? Whereas in this case, it is paced slow. Yes, the lizard brain does not like slow sometimes, but because it's such like it fits the content of the show, the slow pacing is actually very fitting for it. The only things that I would critique it for are some of the animation and just kind of like some of like the production notes on it.
Yeah.
And some of the characters are a little one note too, but yeah.
Do you guys have spoilers you want to discuss? Should I press the button?
I don't.
No, I think we're good.
No. Okay. No spoilers this week.
No.
The show's that's fairly episodic. So like, there's not really much to spoil aside from maybe like the very, very end. But like, I don't think there's really a point in talking about that.
That's the thing. Is I kind of feel like it'd be the situation where we hit the spoiler drop and then we're like, we talk for 2 minutes and we're like, oh, okay.
Yeah, actually.
We'd probably
there's not much. We would just basically talk about the last episode, which honestly, I would suggest just go and watch it. I would suggest go and watch the show.
This just came to my mind. That last episode gave me Land of the Lustrous vibes.
Yeah, Land of the Lustrous would be one too. Yeah, kind of a bleak world.
That's actually another fitting recommendation for this one too. That's actually a really good take, Jay.
That's a good one. That's a really good one, Jay. Here you go. This one's for you.
Give him the clap.
All right.
And as a reward, Jay gets to do the ending spiel by himself.
No. I haven't sent you guys the script for the end spiel.
So we have a script now.
Oh, we have a script.
Cole's getting so professional.
Look at this guy.
I know, he sent us a layout for this episode and everything. Now he's got a script.
Flashback to like earlier on in the podcast life where Cole was like, "No, I'm just shooting from the hip."
Thank you. I'm doing my best here.
We're so proud of you, Cole. You're so strong.
You know what?
And
for that,
yes,
you get one of those, buddy.
Thanks. One clap from
and you know what? You
Jay.
Get one of these from me.
Well, thank you. That's very generous.
You're welcome.
Thank you to my co-hosts, and thank you, the listener, so much for listening to another episode of AniPro. If you liked it, please leave a like, subscribe, leave a review, tell a friend about us, please. If you really like us, why don't you consider supporting us on Patreon like these lovely people? Mr. Family Guy. Yeah, Mr. Family Guy 36, Elijah Wood, Braindead, B-Dog, Super Mexi, Peach, Frama, Kratos, Juzz, Mog, and Free Rinse Feet. Thank you all so much. By supporting us on Patreon, you get access to all sorts of perks, and it really helps out the show. We also are on social media. At AniProPod, please join our Discord community. Keep up with us and to other listeners as well. You can connect with us and other listeners. It's a good thing to do.
At least one of us is always in the Discord too. So it's a good way to interact with the show for sure.
Yeah, exactly. And of course, links to everything can be found in the description or on our website, AniProPod.com. I think, Mike, it's your turn.
Yes.
Can you
I did
please?
It last week, but I'll do it again.
Okay, then never mind. Shut up. Don't say anything. Jay, it's your turn then.
Well then, as I weirdly take this pleasure or privilege was the word I was going to use.
Well put.
Away from Mike.
away from me.
No, I was going to say privilege. I just can't talk right now. We've been talking for over an hour.
I know it's yeah.
As we do at the end of every episode of AniPro. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.